Did you get some handouts that I had
Yes.
passed along? Okay. Maybe we'll start with this accounting report. 13-month accounting report, which runs through April. So, of note here, the census is dropping a little bit. We're at 26.2 in April. I mean, our Medicare daily rate was a loss. We had very few Medicare residents, one or two at a time. And then I've added a new line here, agency nursing expense. So that shows January, February, March. And April, it ticked back up. And for the next few months, it's going to be even higher than that because these CNAs just keep going other places.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's causing this turnover? Higher pay somewhere else? Better hours? What?
No, one was going to school in Colby anyway, and so she went there. Another CNA, I think, didn't really like that kind of work. Found a job in Benkelman, the hospital, office job. A couple of them were no-call, no-shows. They were gone. One we had to let go, there was a mild abuse issue with that one. And so for different reasons.
Yeah, it's not like they're ganging up and claiming one thing.
No. So we're just at the bottom of a cycle, and we've got applicants coming in. We have 2 of them going to work for the summer, 2 college students.
Just a question, is your pay in line with facilities around us?
That was an issue. We had an in-house meeting on that. I think I mentioned that in my note.
Yeah.
And so Tennille's pretty convinced that part of our problem is our rate of pay is a little bit less than the surrounding places, like $1 an hour. And so even though we are at a loss, we're going ahead and raising the base rate for our CNAs to match the base rate of facilities around us. Atwood, Goodland. So at first it didn't make sense for me to do that, but in the end, in the long term, I think we'll have a better outcome.
Well, you might get people that actually want to stay.
Yeah, so we thought we had our situation solved about December, and since then, it's just been tapering off. And there's still a CNA training course being lined up to start at the end of June. So that runs about
a month. Is that taught locally?
Yeah. Trainer will be Tiffany Oxner, if you know Tiffany.
No, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll run a month, so we'll just keep on trying our best. And then, so for the month, combine the nursing home facility and the apartments, we have a loss of minus $35,531 for the month. Which again is not where we want to be, but that's the reality.
Is your apartments full?
There are 9 apartments, 8 are rented.
Okay, I see.
The 9th is being utilized by a long-term CNA that's here from Georgia.
So we're getting a double whammy there. We're having to pay her extra plus provider housing.
Well, we don't have to pay for her to be in a motel. That's what often happens with people like that. So we're able to save motel costs by having her there. And we do have one of our staff members that wants to take that apartment when her house sells. Her house is on the market.
Okay.
So, just to say then that May is the end of the second 3-month reconciliation period. So we just went through that recently, but again, May is the end of the 3-month period. So we need to, when we get our operating statement for May in, last half of June, we'll be submitting a request for reconciliation payment. And speaking of that, there was a addendum number 2 that clarified that in writing, as you recall. And Leslie was going to get the signatures and then send a copy to me. I haven't gotten anything, so I don't know where that is at.
Either. And Leslie's wasn't able to be here today, but
Needed the signature of one of the vice presidents in Sioux Falls, so that's probably the holdup.
okay. She should be back by Monday, I believe.
Yeah, well, we'll find out what's going on with that.
Okay.
So, any questions on the April financials?
Well, I guess I do.
Okay.
When you make out a budget, when I go to the bank and I got to make a budget out for operating expenses, if I'm expecting fertilizer to go up, I put it in my budget. You've been over budget on nursing for months and months and months.
All right.
So why don't you show it in your budget that it's going to take more to run a nursing facility?
Well, the budget is an estimate, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know that you're going to be over every year, every month.
Well, no,
Well,
I did not know that.
Well,
Otherwise,
it's been pretty obvious for about a year and a half now.
otherwise it would have been budgeted for. So,
And then another one is housekeeping. You're over budget. And you give us a reason that to cover upcoming summer vacations, you have to hire another housekeeper.
we didn't hire another one. We had one that had been on medical leave and came back.
It still says to cover upcoming summer vacations, you're over budget. I just don't understand your budgeting. We need to be closer on budgets.
Okay.
Even though we need to know that we're going to be spending 8 mills, 9 mills to run that rest home. We need to know it up front, and you don't even get close to your budget at the end of the year. Not even close.
You're right.
So make a budget that we understand, that is correct.
Well, the budget is an estimate, and
You're right. You go into the bank and you make a budget, you go plus or minus 10%. And
Yeah.
you try to stay there.
all right.
And I just think you guys need to work harder at your budget, so we know where we stand.
Okay, I understand your point, sure.
Okay, I hope you do, because I'm not, yes.
No, I have a question. That's all. When you're finished.
Okay.
I just think we need to get closer on our budget so we know where we're at.
It would help.
I'm not trying to be mean, I just want something closer.
Well, we would love to see something other than a loss.
Well, yes, so-
At least once.
So would I. And just to say, I'm not the final determinant of the budget. I submit it to my superior, and they go through a review process, and they either accept it or don't. So the proposed budget was accepted with a small loss for this year. It's not a small loss, however.
Okay.
But we didn't anticipate we were going to lose about 8 CNAs this time of year. And one CNA is on medical leave. That was not anticipated. And we have a charge nurse also off right now for a medical leave, had surgery. So when those things happen, don't budget for that. We've got it covered. So, but I appreciate your point, Roger.
Marlon, did
I have
you?
a question about numbers. I thought the public voted 6 mills if needed for the nursing home. So I did a little calculating here. At $35,000 a month loss, I know it varies, but that's $420,000 a year loss, and a mill brings in about $44,000 now, as I recall.
Is that right?
There's only
44.
$20,000 left over.
Little over 40.
of the 6 mills that's allocated for the nursing home. Now, is it true that you stated that we might need to spend 7 or 8 or 9
Well, no,
mills?
we're not gonna, we're only gonna 6 mills.
That's what I thought.
But it still seems like we ought to try to stay closer to our budget.
Oh, I understand. I just had, my question was different. I thought the commissioners were not allowed to spend over 6 mills.
No, we're not gonna send
without
over
a
6
public
mills.
vote.
Last year, Good Sam, I think they lost, what, 100,000?
Might have been about
You
that.
had to come up with 100,000 to make
Yeah.
up the difference.
Yeah.
But it just, I know that nursing care, long-term care is expensive, but it just seems like it would be better if the budget was closer.
All right, Jeff, you got anything?
Yeah, I do have a few items just to make mention of.
Okay.
About that report from the meeting last month. The Herald kind of mixed up the hot water system work and circulation pump work. I sent you a note, I think, on that, gentlemen. So that discussion last month was only all about the circulation pump. And Leslie was going to resolve that. I don't know what she decided to do about that, but that's the county's business now. And the hot water system, as far as I know, there hadn't been any progress made on straightening that out with Ed Marin through Hal. Hal Griffin was going to look into that.
Hal's here. Any progress there, Hal?
No, I will get back with Ed again and see what we can do.
Okay. Thank you for your helping, by the way.
Well,
So the water is barely hot enough to be compliant, but the water pressure is also pretty bad in a couple of those
But it wouldn't
sinks.
take much to be out of compliance with some pretty high usage or anything else that
Yeah.
at a given time when you're being,
Well, still, there were 2 flameless water heaters, and one of them doesn't work, and hasn't worked for months and months. The backup, it's just there.
Ain't much backup if it ain't working.
Yeah, there's no backup because the backup doesn't work. And so Ed was going to get the company notified and going to rep out here, but I don't think anything like that ever happened. And then there was a bill for a gas line that came in, which had to do with the construction, but it was addressed to us, so I just forwarded that one to Scott and Eddie. Should have got that
we
too.
approved it this morning and paid it.
Okay. And then about landscaping and trees. I mean, quite a bit of landscaping work's been done with Sue Griffin and her team and Hal. So we appreciate that. And meanwhile, there are some dead trees that need to be taken down. And Dave Fleming didn't get those last year because they were kind of close to some electric lines. So I'm talking with Sue, and maybe her tree guy would take the trees down, and the dead trees, and asked. I gave Dave Fleming a call and said, "Well, would the county be able to maybe take those dead trees away when the time comes?" So I'll bring that up now that you can know about it.
I have the estimate for the tree trimming when we get to that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but this is not tree trimming. This is taking
And
down.
when is it removal of the dead tree? Is including that, but when we get to that,
It'll
Okay.
be part of
Yeah.
Ed-
Okay.
Eddie's.
All right. So that's all I have. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. Just keep trying, keep trying.
The next couple months are not going to be pretty.
Okay.
All right then, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, Eddie.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Always good to see you on a nice day. I guess my number one question, it was my understanding in the paper after the last meeting that if you don't continue with Good Samaritan, the county would have to buy $49,000 in furniture to put in assisted living. And that is not correct. Is that your understanding?
No,
Or is
there was
that-
some discussion about that.
Okay.
And I think we figured out that that's not the case.
Okay.
It was just a discussion, you know, if Good Samaritan left, what property is theirs and what property is ours. And what we'd really like to see is an audit or of everything and who it belongs to. Because we truly didn't know whose the
Yeah.
bedding belonged to. Does it belong to Cheyenne County or does it belong to Good Samaritan?
Well, you know, hopefully there's a list someplace with that contract. Can't find it.
And there's not.
Because it was my understanding, I mean, Jeff's indication as we moved along here was that the hospital beds, and I don't know what, I think probably some of the questionable things would be computer system and phone system, you know, maybe some of that. But, yeah, the rest of that's just going to have to be sorted out, and good luck.
And see,
I mean,
that was where the discussion was. That's
okay.
what the discussion
Well, I just
was
want to
about.
be sure that you,
Yeah, no,
because we bought the furniture locally and you paid, you
We saw it this
approved
morning.
that this morning, and
Yes.
so it's on hand. And
Okay.
because I've pushed so hard to get this done, I
Yeah.
wanted to be sure we had appliances and furniture here when they were ready to.
and we appreciated the fact that we use the local businesses
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we're good there now.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't understand,
Yeah,
so we're better today.
good, good.
Water heater went out. Are we responsible for it, or?
Yeah, yeah. And that thing, that Ed Marin put a pair of them in, and they replaced one under warranty, and then he just has never came back and fixed the other one. You know, and it should have been warranty too. But, so I don't know what the deal is there, but Al's working on it, and he's good at chasing that stuff down. He understands that, and so that's good. Next thing would be, have you made any progress with hiring a firm? You know,
Tom Keller is kind of ramrodding that, and there are the requests out now. I don't think they've got any return. So, Good Samaritan has extended to do a monthly lease agreement for, what, 3 months?
I thought it was 6 months.
Maybe it's 6 months, I can't remember, but they're being very fair with us.
good, good.
I mean,
They're
they're,
going monthly.
yeah.
But have they given you any projected numbers, like on rates for assisted living? I mean, it's time now those numbers need to be available. I mean, we're like 9 or 10 weeks
Oh, I
out,
know.
and it's time. I mean, there's been a lot of interest in my waiting list, but, you know, they all wonder about the pricing. I mean, that's been a concern for months and months. And all I've been able to say is it needs to be similar to Hillcrest and Ray and Wheat Ridge
Well,
and
now,
Goodland.
is that going to be our final decision, or is that going to be whoever the management
Not
group?
mine. Well, but I would like to see you sign off on it, maybe.
Well, I'm sure we would.
I mean,
but
but
here
no.
again, it kind of depends on the management group
Yeah.
that you get in here.
And see, they need to give you a proposal with these.
And they were supposed to,
Yeah.
what are they called? Request for, I have to, but anyway, they've contacted several companies, and they're supposed to send their proposals back, and we're supposed to review them soon, I guess.
Yes. Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's.
Yeah. But I do know that committee's working pretty hard.
And I don't know what scope of work John Grace is doing. I know you signed a contract with him.
He has. I've got a couple of emails.
And he
just
has
recently.
numbers, you know, he put numbers like that together for our proposal, you know, when we started this process. And then Mark Mingenbach works for his company, and we meet with him regularly. And he has some numbers from Wheat Ridge that he collected a couple months ago. And it's hard to compare apples and apples in this rate stuff, because, you know, well, some of them had so many dollars a month for this, and, you know, there's add-ons. So it's really hard to sort through and be sure that, so
And that's the
anyway.
reason we wanted John to kind of ramrod this thing, because he knows what his numbers are and what he's talking about.
So I think he would have numbers, because like I say, Mark works for
I just-
him.
I just got an email.
So are all those apartments, are they like for two people, or some of them for one person, or?
Well, there's 9 single bedrooms and there's 1 double bedroom.
One double.
And 2 of the rooms can have a doorway put between them. I mean, it's framed out. If the need is there in the future, all you'd have to do is take that out, and there'd be 2 more rooms. It could be a double.
This is the very last email I received. Cheyenne County, Kansas Community Foundation issued a check to Cheyenne County for $3,500 for consulting services by John Grace. That is 1/2 of his fee. $1,750 to be paid immediately, and the balance paid on completion of his consultations. And that's basically all I know.
So hopefully, I mean, I know he would have a lot of information, and like I say, Mark has compiled numbers from Wheat Ridge recently, like 60 days ago, and so that'd be a starting point. But I know he was surprised at all the little different things, that made quite a difference in the monthly fee. But we've got to be in the ballpark.
Sure.
And that's
Sure, you gotta make it
'cause-
attractive.
but we do have a lot of interest. But it's time we need to plug rates in, and so they can.
Well, when Leslie returns next week, I'll make a point to go down and talk to her and see if she knows any more information, and get a hold of Tom and see exactly where we're at,
Okay.
get going. Because you're right, we're running into deadlines, and
I mean, my goal is to have that pretty well occupied from day one. I mean,
sorry,
you know what
Bill.
that does to your cash flow. We have to have that as a goal, a primary goal.
and everybody understands that. That
Staffed too.
long-term
Yeah.
committee is fully aware of that. And, yeah, and staffing is an issue, and Good Samaritan has extended an offer to staff it for a certain price.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
I don't think so, Eddie.
I would like 10 minutes of executive session to
Did
discuss.
you ever hear any more from the federal tax credit deal?
That big one is off the table, but we did qualify for the Kansas State income. And so, and that was fully funded in part. Bill and Cindy Keller, Standing Electric, stepped in, and so we were able to get the maximum available. So that's good. So that's where the furnishings and the appliances and stuff are out of that fund. Yeah. So yeah, there was a separate fund, 170 set up to track it, keep it tidy.
And your request for executive session is for non-elected personnel, financial matters.
Financial.
Okay.
5 minutes?
7.
7 minutes. I
Wait.
told them. What?
5 for sure.
Yeah.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
It's financial because of the way that will be staffed. This is mentioned. And so that affects the financial part of the equation. And Jeff wasn't up to speed on